I saw the potential for what my kids could become, and I also saw the potential for our lives. And there is a certain intensity that Israeli life has, and it's good and it's bad. I mean, I think there is a significant lack of bullshit in general here, like certainly at the Shabbos table.
Right.
You know, like everybody does everything more. Like everybody loves more, and everybody fights more, and everybody yells more, and everybody, like whatever it is we do more and much more intensely. And certainly the artist side of me loved that. There's a rawness and a realness here. And so we decided to stay. There were certain things that happened that made me feel like hashgacha prati, that God wanted us to be here. Like we found this beautiful midrash to build a house. That afterwards people said, "How did you buy from that guy?" And we said, "Well, I don't know. We just had coffee with him for like a year, and finally he said yes." He said, "We tried to buy that property 10 years ago." And I said, "I don't know, you know." So there were things that happened that I think made it obvious that we were meant to try to make a place here. Artistically, it was very frustrating in the beginning because a lot of my artwork had to do with my experience as trying to become Israeli. Because of my Hebrew, which was non-existent, it became very clear that I was always going to be on the periphery. But I also got feedback from different people in the art world here that my art was too American, and it was too pretty, and it was too aesthetic. And I had like a moment of crisis where, you know, they said Israeli art is raw and unfinished and angry and loud and expressive because Israel's unfinished and angry and loud. And so I thought, oh my God, what should I do? Like, should I just stop before I think something's finished, or should I, you know, try to make it looser? And I kind of had like an existential crisis. And then in the end, I thought, well, you really can't do that. You have to listen to sort of your authentic self. And you just have to make the art, and it will either go or it won't. But I do it because I have to. So, and in the end, what I'm finding slowly is that as I'm becoming more Israeli, and as Israel is changing and softening a little bit and becoming a little more, there's more self-exploration, I think, going on now in Israel, just by nature of this project. You know, more interest between the non-religious to the religious, more interest between, I think that there's nuances. I'm just going to blow out this candle for a minute.
Oh, that's what's making
so much noise.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Let me just...
It's okay.
I put that in there.
No.
Yeah. I think that there's even a shift from artistically, like, you know, Israeli-Palestinian. I think that now that dialogue is far more nuanced, because it's not just Israeli-Arab. It's like male-female, and it's broken down more, and it's much more nuanced. And I think all those are signs of maturity. And also, you know, somebody said to me, well, because whatever wars we're having are so different than like the Yom Kippur War, these huge, as you know, existential threats where we're getting ready for thousands of people to be killed. I mean, of course, any of these things are possible, but the military threats today are so different, so that Israel almost has the luxury of a much harder self-examination, which I think we didn't have before. So, you know, in my day-to-day living, I have moments when I feel really Israeli, you know, and I have moments when I think, oh my God, I will never, ever be Israeli.
When do you feel that?
Well, certainly any army tekes. You know, I mean, I go, and you know, my kid is in uniform just like everybody else's, but I don't understand the whole ceremony, and I don't understand what they're saying, and I never did it. And most of the people, all those parents that are sitting there, they were in the army. You know, they know the whole sivuv. They know all the pieces of it. And I don't. There's no way I'm ever going to know what my kids are going through. So that's a definite moment when I don't feel very Israeli. Funny enough, there are other things where I used to think I'm outside of it and now I'm inside of it. And I just think that that's the nature of living here, which is Yom HaZikaron, in the beginning, you sort of stand outside and think, oh my God, all these people lost a brother, an uncle, a father, a son, a daughter, and then sooner or later it hits you. You know, that circle of distance eventually gets very, very small. So that, God forbid it should be your own family, but you know plenty of people who have died over the years from a terror attack or, a military accident or in a war or whatever. So that was something that in the beginning I felt wasn't mine, that now I do feel is mine. And in fact, I think that the minute your kids go in the army, that day changes completely. It changes completely. I'm thinking of some other I can't go to the theater, really. I mean, for me to be able to read literature and go to the theater and read and write would be basically, I think I'd have to take the next 10 years of my life off and just go to Ulpan and school. And I think I would, if I don't make art, I just die. So it was a trade-off that I made, I think, in like 2001, because the year I came, I went to Ulpan, and I learned a lot, and I got better. But at the end of that year, I was so unhappy because there was no time to make art. 5 little kids, Ulpan, that was it. There was no other time. And I thought, you know what? I can get by in Jerusalem speaking English. I just will never really be Israeli. I'll just manage. But I'll make the art, and I'll be a better mother, and I'll be a better wife, and I'll be a better friend, because I'll satisfy that need. Now I have even more regrets that I don't, because I just think, it's okay, I can live in the Bua Baka forever. But, to some extent, also, I'll give you another example where it always felt awful. The parent-teacher conference. An Israeli parent wants to talk to the teacher in very nuanced terms about their child. I could say, Hu Yeled Tov. Wow, that tells the teacher a lot. It was so frustrating for me because I didn't understand what the teachers were telling me. And Israeli teachers talk really fast. They really speak very fast. And so that was also something that I gave up on. But other things are wonderful. I have one daughter who's getting married, God willing, really soon, to a very Israeli boy. And we're managing. His English is getting better. My Hebrew is getting better. His parents, thank God, speak fluent English. But they're still culturally, they're very Israeli. And I'm actually thrilled because I sort of feel like that's like another hurdle that we can get past and say, okay, we're here. Then there are other weird things that happen, which is you go back to where you're from, you go back to America, and you really, really think, I don't belong here anymore. It's wonderful to visit, but I don't belong here. And I actually think that's good. Because there were many years when we would come back after visiting. We have no family here. All of our family was in America. Now my parents are here. But we would go visit, and then we would fly back. And as the plane was about to land in Ben-Gurion, I would always have this moment where it's oh my God, I don't belong here. I don't belong there. I don't belong anywhere. I'm sort of hovering somewhere over the Atlantic Mediterranean Ocean, and neither place is really home for me anymore. I don't have a place where I'm 100% me. And I used to try to explain to people, like when you go to your home, and certainly for me, for 40 years it was my home, you can drive down the highway, you can listen to the radio, you can pay attention to where you're going, you can see a billboard and read it and go, oh, there's going to be a festival in a month, and you can do all those things at the same time on autopilot. This I could never do. I either drive or I read or I listen to the radio, but I could never do all three at the same time. But I mean, again, most of these issues are language. I mean, for me, I think some of the other hurdles that people have, I don't have. Also, I think because art doesn't need words.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I could touch people and I could communicate without the language skills, which is why I think that I found sort of a certain level of happiness and assimilation quicker. Because I know people that were doctors that can't practice, or really good writers, but nobody's ever heard of them here because they're not writing in the native tongue, whatever it is. And I think in a way for me, that's a gift. It was a big gift because I can see how frustrated I was.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about how the art expresses your emotions as an immigrant or whatever?
Yeah.
What's the function of art in this process you're describing?
So I think that, so in America, I did I don't want to say pretty art because that's kind of demeaning, but I did art that celebrated beautiful day, a bowl of lemons, Shabbat, whatever it was all very aesthetic and very pretty. And I wasn't interested in making a statement, and part of it is because my kids were young and I was busy and it was limited amounts of time. But what I've always said was, in America, when you read the newspaper, it's something happening to someone else somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And in Israel, when you open the paper, it's happening to you. I don't care if it's in Haifa or Beersheba, but it is relevant to you. If it's a Jewish rapist, he's a fellow Jew. And if it's the Rabbanut doing something disgusting, they belong to me. And if it's my prime minister doing something, or the president accused of rape, whatever, I'm ashamed because they are mine. And so what happened is that the country started to get inside my, under my skin. And I started to say, this is not right. And I don't like this. And I'm ashamed of this. And, I think that's one of the things about being an immigrant is that you choose to go somewhere. It's not that you were born and stuck there and this is what it is. You say, I decide to go to this place and become this. Okay, so there's a kind of you have a lot on the line, and it's an intellectual decision. And so therefore, I would think that because it's an intellectual decision that you've sort of made idealistically, when there are things that shake that decision or that embarrass you about that decision, you are outraged. You want to fix it. You want to change it. You want to make people aware of it. And so slowly, as we stayed here, I think first it was the agunot. I was like, how can this possibly be? Here, not only have I chosen to be Israeli, I've chosen to be Orthodox. This is disgusting. And so I started making art about that. And then, slowly I've made art about the settlements. I would say that perhaps one of the series that I've done in the last few years that I did very much from the point of view of trying to process the experience of being the mother of a soldier, which nothing in America had prepared me for. Okay? It's a quintessentially Israeli experience. And so I did a series of etchings in which you have soldiers, in uniform, standing on their tank, parachuting out of a plane, and running from their belly button to their mothers are their umbilical cords. Okay? So I thought it was very peculiar to me, but it turns out that everyone, I don't care if they're 7th generation Israeli, relates to this. And for me, this is the best part about being an artist, when I can like touch a chord or nerve in someone, regardless of where I'm from or where they're from. Yeah, yeah. It's and it's a whole series. And that's the power of art. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. There's something very powerful about this. And I also think it's very, like, the Israeli thing is, yeah, of course he's going in the army. We all went in the army. Everybody's got to go in the army. But at the end of the day, it's your husband or your kid. I collected all the giyus notices, those envelopes.
Right.
And I asked people to save them for me. And so in that little window that usually has your kid's name, their eyes looking back at you, mother's face or son's face. Because anonymously, thousands of these things go out every week. There is a mother and a father at the end of that. And there's this Israeli thing. Look what came! Aren't we excited? You know, and your kid's so excited and you're dying inside. You know, it isn't even that they're going to be in something dangerous. They're going to be in something awful that they hate for 3 years and you can't do anything about it. Nothing. Which is so not America. America, you call, you pull strings, you pay, you fix it for your kid. This is, I mean, I don't know, maybe if you're the first cousin of the prime minister, but for most Israelis, it is what it is, and you can't make it better for them. And I don't know, you know. So that's sort of, I also think that because I'm an olah in some ways. So whereas I think maybe an Israeli would just take that whole shlav for granted. Yeah, it's a giyus. Yeah, it's a soldier. For me, it's like, oh my God, you know, how am I going to process this 5 times?
Wow. So we've become a
yeah, I mean, they say, you know, once you have a kid go in the army, all these things, you're really Israeli. I think that becoming Israeli is something that happens every day. You know, it's something that happens every day. And every year you experience the holiday. Listen, Yom Kippur during a war is different than Yom Kippur when everything's fine. And the prayer for rain in some years is like, enough already. Yeah. And in some years it's like, oh my God, we really need the rain. It's, you know, I just, it's an amazing, complicated place, but I feel like, I think any immigrant anywhere in the world feels this way. It's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Well, I think you've managed kind of to touch into the core of the Israeli experience without knowing the language.
Yeah, it's a gift of art.
Yeah,
it's really the gift of art.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Do you want to see if it worked?
I don't want to. No.
You're afraid?
Yeah, I did record everything. That's unbelievable.
Really?